The P.T. Barnum Museum and Institute of Science and History is located here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. But he's not the only famous resident ever to live in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Just a block away from the Institute is the Bridgeport Library, where we can read about one of P.T. Barnum's friends, Fanny Crosby. Fanny Crosby, the hymn writer, was the author of over 3,000 hymns. Inside the library here, we can find newspaper clippings, books, hymnals, biographies, and autobiographies about her. In fact, one of the books is even autographed by her. Did you know that the blind hymn writer had to learn how to write so she could autograph her books? There's a lot that we hope to show you about Fanny Crosby. And we're going to start by taking you by the house that she lived in. It's just about a mile down the road here in Bridgeport. In 1900, Fanny Crosby moved from New York City to Bridgeport, Connecticut. 6 years later, now a widow, she moved in with her sister and her niece into this home in Bridgeport, Connecticut. She spent her last few years here. Early on the morning of February 12, 1915, Fanny Crosby passed away. Her doctor came and reported the cause was arteriosclerosis, with a secondary cause of cerebral hemorrhage. Fanny Crosby's body was taken to the church for the funeral. Fanny Crosby's funeral was held here at the First Methodist Episcopal Church in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The minister was Reverend George Brown, pastor of the church, and he gave the eulogy, reminding this audience, who was very well familiar with their fellow parishioner, Fanny Crosby. Many of the hymns sung were of special importance. Faith of Our Fathers Living Still was one of Fanny Crosby's favorites, and that was one of the hymns that was included in the service. So were two of the hymns that she wrote, Someday the Silver Cord Will Break, and her other hymn, Safe in the Arms of Jesus. Safe in the Arms of Jesus was a special hymn to Fanny Crosby. Many of the scholars think that this was written after one of the lowest points in her life, a painful time that she very rarely, if ever, even talked about, the death of their only child. Safe in the Arms of Jesus was now where Fanny Crosby was. At the end of the service, the Daughters of the American Revolution passed out flowers to all those present. Fanny Crosby was a direct descendant of many of those who were on the Mayflower voyage, and she was a very patriotic American. She was friends with every living president during her lifetime. From here, her body was taken to the cemetery where she was laid to rest. Let's go pay our respects to her grave. P.T. Barnum is buried here in Mountain Grove Cemetery. You can see his giant monument behind the tree. It's not that surprising that he's buried here, for he was the one who started this cemetery. Across the path, you can see the grave of Tom Thumb. That's a life-size statue of the famous little general who traveled with P.T. Barnum, right down there at the end of this grass. However, this is also the burial place of Fanny Crosby. The funeral procession went from the church here to the cemetery and laid her body to rest. You can see the simple marker, Aunt Fanny. She had done what she could. A simple marker for a truly phenomenal woman. However, 40 years after she died, her community got together and said, we need a fitting tribute to Aunt Fanny. And so they put together this monument here, telling about what Fanny Crosby had done. In grateful and loving memory of Fanny Crosby, who inspired and edified Christians all over the world by the writing of more than 3,000 hymns and poems. Born in Southeast New York, March 24th, 1820. Married March 5th, 1855 to Alexander Van Alstyne. Died in Bridgeport, Connecticut, February 12, 1915. They have inscribed here Blessed Assurance, the hymn that she was famous for writing. However, perhaps a different hymn is a little more fitting for this place. Fanny Crosby was blind since birth. When she was talking with some friends up at Chautauqua, New York, they asked her, Fanny, when you get to heaven, how will you recognize Jesus? You haven't been able to see. She says, I'll be looking for his smile. I said, well, Fanny, everybody will be smiling in heaven. She says, I'll ask to see his hands. Fanny Crosby told them that she would know her Redeemer by the print of the nails in his hands. She went on to write a song based on that. And that would have been like, no, this is merely her body buried here. But when she entered those gates of heaven, when her life work was ended, and she crossed the swelling tide, when the bright and glorious morning I shall see, I shall know my Redeemer when I reach the other side, for his smile will be the first to welcome me. The chorus goes on. I shall know him, and redeemed by his side I shall stand. I shall know him, by the print of the nails in his hands.